Flat Earth British subscriber channel, me speaking. Good anarchy. First off, really sorry that I haven't been in contact with anyone really over the last couple of months. Nothing personal, and haven't really been vlogging. Been sharing Martin's vlogs. I haven't been doing any of those You Decide vlogs. You know, basically over the last 2 months, I suppose I could say I was going for an upgrade, or an update, or an upgrade, and not on my computer. Just kind of multi-dimensionally. You know, if insanity and madness was something that I could find, it probably wouldn't have been as bad as it's been. But I can't even get insanity or madness. You know, having delved into the world of Martin Leaker and all of his subscribers on Flat Earth British, and taking it seriously, you know, taking it all very seriously. I think it's about 8 or 9 years now. I know it's only a little part really now about Flat Earth. It's about so much more Flat Earth British. Mysteries, information, things you shouldn't know, forbidden knowledge. I'm a bit of an extremist, it's all or nothing. It's always been like that for me, so. And so really the world that I knew when I started subscribed to Martin and said, hey, can I help? Since then, the world's never been the same. And you can't forget a truth. You can remember a lie, but you can't forget the truth. And with so many truths on Flat Earth British, and they kind of combine over time, which doesn't exist, time. Your worldview completely changes. But eventually it disappears. And you can find it, an example that you might understand. If you're kind of like my age, 50s, and you remember what life was like when you was growing up. And then 40 years later, the world is not the same. It's not the same. It's completely different. Everything. When you look at the life of children today and compare it to your own when you was young, how completely different it is, and how and how insignificant your own experiences are to them in the world now. And yeah, I've been kind of thinking about that little aspect of things for about 3 weeks. Yeah, about 3 weeks now. I remember growing up, they were kids, sorry, they were adults. And growing up as a child, I heard their stories, I heard things about their past, how they used to live. Didn't even have TVs when they were growing up. When I was a kid, the adults, when they were growing up, the same age as I was back then, they didn't have a television, they didn't have TV, it didn't exist. And I thought, how the hell could you live? What did you do every evening? They say, oh, we read books, we played music. They didn't even have central heating. I thought, how could you live like that? Kids today. I told them, well, when I grew up, the internet didn't exist. Computers didn't exist. Black and white TVs existed with 3 channels and that's about it. And they say to me, how could you live like that? I'm probably not the first person to say this either. And even when I work with people that are like 20 years younger than me, so like they're in their 30s, and I talk about stuff, So, was it 20? Was that 1990? Terrible with numbers. So, like, people born in 1990, they don't know anything about the 80s or the 70s. And any reference or jokes that I make to people or characters or whatever, they've got no idea what I'm talking about. And when I explain it to them, they're kind of bemused and disinterested. And all the same shit that I was taught growing up is repackaged and fed to them. And even though things have changed, they still do the same shit as I did when I was their age. And so I take that back further. I take it back to the 1800s. People that lived at that time, after the mud flood, 1812, 1811. And their children. Anyway, so there's no kind of format to this Vanavlog. Because I'm in no particular place. I think if I just keep talking, and if I say enough, it might all come together in your head in some way. Thinking about the Phoenicians and their the technology that you use with water to be able to manipulate water. To grow food, etc. Power, everything. And I was thinking about the Cherubinskis. I thought, why is it that although they're the size of children, they don't look like children, they look like adults? And reason being is that biological organisms are full of water, and because they had the technology to craft, manipulate, structure, destructure, reconstitute, regurgitate, whatever, water. It was able to reverse aging. So when you see a Cherubinski, they could be hundreds and hundreds of years old. There's no telling really except that it's clear that they were adults. But they just went back to the form where you have the most energy, like as a human. You have all your energy and everything when you're a child. And so that's what they did. Obviously they didn't do it perfectly. And when you think about things like mud flood, a catastrophic worldwide event, and you look at the moon and you see the destruction of it. You know, was it a sun before? What was it before? Now it's completely dead, blasted from our general direction. You just know that they fucked up. Something went incredibly wrong. It seems that the last, what we would call ancient civilization, they were cargo culting a technology. They didn't make it. They inherited it or stole it. But they didn't have the experience of learning how to make it. They didn't have the experience of the technology. Every step of it, every incrementation of knowledge, building, constructing. They simply had it. Be like in the 1800s, like in America, when they all come back after mud flood and they picked up like steam trains and stuff like that, probably dug them out of the mud or found them in warehouses that were encased in mud. They just started playing around with them, like crushing them. Look it up, 1800 steam engine train crashes. You've got one track. You've got a train at one end of the track, a train at the other end of the track. They start them both off towards going forward, and they crash. And they just do shit like that. I mean, could you imagine like Richard Branson and the Virgin trains, you know, like the fast ones? And he did exactly the same thing. Put two of his fastest trains on one track and sent them forward towards each other. You just wouldn't do it, would you? Not if you've made it. You know, that technology. You just simply wouldn't do it. If you didn't really know what they were, but you could see what they could do, and you was curious, you'd do shit like that. You would put them on a single track and drive them into each other to see what would happen. Just making a point that the technology of the Phoenicians wasn't their own. They messed about with it. They wanted eternal youth. They got so far, but it wasn't their invention. They couldn't tweak it where it went wrong. And so you end up with Cherepanewskis. Also, 1800s, the Englishman, the gentleman, with his bowler hat, or top hat, it made of felt, or they're not made with felt, they're made of something, and you have to put mercury into it to make it felt, F-E-L-T. And we all know about Antiquitech buildings. And mercury. And so people, particularly men, I don't know why women didn't wear bowler hats, or did they? I don't know. You can never be too sure about history as to its authenticity. But there's something about mercury and radium and what we've been taught is the gesture of kind of like raising your hat. Good morning, hello, good morning, good day to you, and all that lot. Something else was going on there. You know, those top hats, those hats filled with mercury in the vicinity of Antiquitech that used mercury and sound and everything else. Something was going on. So maybe when you're wearing your hat, walking past a church, you're logged into something. You're at work, or you're engaged in something. And then if you meet somebody on the street, you disengage, take off your hat. Good day to you, good morning. Put your hat back on and on your way. It's bloody freezing. It's like, oh, what is it? 2 degrees right now. It's so strange. I don't think you can really see in this. There's not much light here. But, I'd say in the last year, 6 months, I've aged about 5 years. It's really bizarre. And it's all kind of since I've been disengaged. Disengaged from faith and belief in the concept of time. I totally know it's bullshit time. To the point that it's become a reality to me. And consequently, the way I go about my days and the things that I do have changed. a lot. But more than changes, it's more of kind of inaction, non-compliance, but just not engaged, I suppose. I don't obey the rules anymore. When I say rules, I don't mean like laws. I mean like customs, traditions, general opinion on things, how to act in certain situations, circumstances. I just don't react anymore. And this place that you call reality seems to be trying to get rid of me. Hence the aging thing. It's just weird. I mean, I look in the mirror and I'm like, I don't look in the mirror very often because, well, I haven't for years, because I know that this isn't my body. I don't have any control over it. I didn't design it. I don't control the speed of aging, anything. It just does what it does. I haven't got a clue of the inner workings and biological mechanics of my physical body. I couldn't tell you the size of my heart in metric or imperial measurement. I couldn't tell you. I don't even know what it looks like. Or the inside of my lungs. What percentage of it is covered in tar? And a percentage that isn't. My intestines. It's never seen the light of day. I appear to have some control, movement, stuff like that. At least, I think it's probably an illusion. And even though I know nothing about how this thing works, even if I did, I don't think it would make any difference whatsoever to my conclusion, my conclusion that it's not me. I didn't make it. I don't know how it works. I don't know how it continues to function, and if I did, it still wouldn't really matter. I said before to someone, oh, it's this year. I said to somebody who was trying to fucking destroy me, and I said, asked them their age. I think they were in their 40s. And I said, have you ever counted the lines on your hand? Your left hand? Your left hand? All the lines. Have you counted them? He said, no. I said, what? Are you not interested? Have you ever done that? Have you ever counted all the lines on your palm? Just the underside of your hand, all the lines, just visible ones, you know, don't have to get out a fucking microscope or anything, you know, just look. Have you ever counted them? And if you was really at one, if you really loved your body, fuck, my colleague's here. He's just gone off to go and get something to eat. Did you know? It's not good to drink out of a plastic bottle, but if you drink, it tends to go flat. But like if you squeeze it like that, it stays fizzy. Did you know that? Well, that totally threw me. Can't believe he fucking turned up that early. I got here early so I could do a Vanavlog. He turns up after 15 minutes. I don't believe it. You know, I've seen tens of it uploaded. Tens of thousands of videos of pictures, all to do with history, all to do with ancient civilizations, and a great many of those pictures of places and things still exist. I've got a theory. That's that no, it doesn't work here. Anyway, so the world, this existence, seems to be a biological kind of entity. It's a bit like a Venus flytrap. and we're just kind of like flies that have been caught up in it. That's what it seems like this place is, and we're kind of encased in these things, which is part of all of this. And that's why we don't really have any kind of connection. With all of this that we call life. We don't really have any control. We don't truly have any kind of interaction or value to it. When you really search yourself, you're like, hold on a minute, I don't really know anything about this place, and I don't really know anything about myself as a physical thing in a physical world. I really don't know anything as much as I should. And the reason being is because we're in it, but it's not part of us. We're just stuck. A bit like the stars in the sky. They're stuck as well. Like jelly, stuck in jelly. Which is just I don't know if it's the right word, global. Of varying densities of water. If the sun is hot, the closer you get to it, the hotter you get, right? But if you climb to the top of K2 or Mount Everest, the highest points of on Earth, close to the sun, it's fucking freezing. Oh, he's back, can't believe it. So how's the sun hot? Yeah, so in the last few seconds, like a week or two have passed. I just can't do anything, really. Can't do Vanavlogs, just can't do anything. Just my whole life is a mess at the moment. I just can't do anything. I'm just completely stopped in my tracks, as they say. There's just been nowhere to come from, nowhere to turn to, just nothing, just utter chaos. I just feel like I'm fucking in an industrial tumble dryer. And I've probably still got another month. I think it's January the 13th. Maybe Valentine's Day it'll all fucking be over. I can get back to some kind of sense of calmness. Tranquility and peace. And be allowed to think freely. I kind of had what was it? Kind of fitting that I'm doing this in the fucking dark, because that's where I am at the moment. But I'd say by kind of like October, I was kind of in a place where I was able to, I suppose, like a fish, kind of swimming between different dimensions, was able to draw on those dimensions and then be able to unlock this place, because I had new insights as to why this place is and does what it does. And it was, you know, I guess I just kind of started a new path at that point. No sooner had I done that, no sooner as I started, I can't really think of a good enough word to explain it, really. Brave. But everything that could go wrong went wrong. And even till now, it's still going on. You name it, anything at all at the same time. And then the following week, everything all again, all at the same time. Not just one thing going wrong, many things going wrong simultaneously. Just leave me spinning. And this place, this world, just becoming overwhelming, consuming, and trying to become dominant. And whilst all the time that I realised the conclusions still stand that I found from being able to swim between different dimensions, I haven't been able to do anything about it. Just no time or freedom or anything. I mean, I may as well just be incarcerated at the moment, you know. I say that in a month's time it's like my fucking release date or something, you know. That's what it's like. absolutely no time for me whatsoever. It's just the world. It demands 100% from me. And it's put me in a place where I've got no choice but to serve. That's why I can't vlog. That's why I can't do Vanavlogs. That's why I'm not really putting up any YouTube videos or anything. But I'm not working at a loss. All the knowledge that I've gained, that I'm prohibited from doing, from sharing with you, it's still there. But I just can't do it. I'm disabled. I mean, I'm trying to do these Vanavlogs at the moment, just snippets when I can get the time. But even doing, you know, this is going to be a compilation of different weeks. I've already done 2 before this, but they're weeks apart. But my soul has been stapled to a fucking tree stump, a fucking tree trunk. Just can't fucking move, you know. It's just so difficult for me to even talk. It's so difficult for me to be able to concentrate on anything other than the demands that encompass me. So apologies for that. And again, apologies for everybody that I'm not communicating with. It's not that I don't want to, it's that I've got nothing left except everything that I'm having to do at the moment. I've got nothing left. No strength, no energy, no peace, no quiet, no freedom. And pain and misery. And I say hopelessness, I mean, fucking hope is a mug's game. Faith is a mug's game. I don't go with it. Nevertheless, there's a difference between choosing not to have faith and be a mug, and choosing not to have hope and be a mug, to actually being forbidden to have either, to not have the choice. It's different. It's like another incarceration, which is weird. Because who wants faith and belief? It's like fiat currency. I suppose it's worth talking about. I would say that since joining Flat Earth British, 9-10 years ago. As the truth bombs kept dropping, time passes and slowly I become disconnected from the world. As you do when you realise everything's a lie. And I had come to the point, as I said, in October last year, where that disconnection become constructive and practical, and was equipping me with skills to be able to free other people from this place as well. So I'm struggling even to keep my train of thought. But since October, the intensity of what you call reality has intensified to drown out everything else. And the unwanted connection that I have with my human body and the effects of the environmental, or not just the environment, on all levels of this reality have intensified to overwhelm everything else. And detrimentally, physically, because I'm attached to it, affects me, myself, the fish, if you want, going between, swimming between other dimensions. It's just brutal. It's just brutal. I could cry. I really could. If I could lose my sanity or go crazy or something, you know, at least that would be, you know, something to sort of like give me a bit of slack. You know, there are actually there are more alternative hold on. Sorry, it's difficult for me. Hold on. What is the fucking word, man? What, there are more, there are more collated or correlated? Collated. There are more collated realities in this reality than there are other dimensions. I've spoken of a few over the last couple of years. One you may remember was when I died. I did a Vanavlog. And I was explaining the following days following my death. And I was still here. But the world was still here. But it wasn't quite the same. On that particular occasion, the world was less potent. The controls, the system had become weak and broken. And the intensity of humanity and even the environment was somehow less. And things that I'd always seen every day had become like cardboard cutouts of real things. You know, I had entered my first or maybe, I don't know, maybe not my first, but my first collation of one of the realities, multiple realities of this reality. And since that time, I've been surprised that although I hadn't gone through that experience of death again, that I was entering into other collations of reality, realities in this reality. And it's not too long before that time when that happened, and I did a vlog on it. The Flat Earth British, Martin and I, we'd broken the system. We'd won. And everything, all the secrets, all of our minds together, mining the mud flood, the cover-up of truth. We won. And that particular reality, it was a win-win, and everything was going to go fine. And then I died, and then I was in another reality where such victories had no place of influence. And I don't know which collation of reality that I'm in at the moment, but everything that we've said all over the years is all over TikTok, with people that are far smarter than us, and about the same age as us, are talking about the subjects that we talk about, regurgitating it, and then not improving upon it, because you can't improve upon a truth, but finding their own truths using what we found as a foundation to carry on what we were doing. And in this reality, it doesn't really seem to be doing much. It doesn't seem to have the same effect as it would back then, before I died, when I was in that reality. With what is happening now, what's happening then, it'd be amazing. In other Vanavlogs I've said that, time does not exist. It's a lie. And it is. But in this reality, it does. in this reality of realities, it does. And in my journey to free us all, I in so many words, I use the term loosely, I have to respect the principles of time and speak in terms of time. You know, everybody knows that you know, time is man-made. You know, Gregorian calendar, fucking Julian calendar, fucking Japanese fucking calendar. How many calendars are there? Fucking 24-hour day clocks, 10-hour days, 10-month years, 12-month years. It's all man-made. Hold on. So we know it's bollocks. But if you asked me, if you wanted to know something, you come up to me and said, Lee, what's the time? Even though I know time doesn't exist, I know what you mean. I know what you mean. And I can't say, I can't tell you, because time doesn't exist. I'll tell you what the time is. The time now is, what is the time? 7:34 AM, Greenwich Mean Time, Monday the 13th. You know, you ask me, that's the answer, you know. The fact that I know time doesn't exist doesn't help you. If I stick with the whole thing of time doesn't exist, so I'm just going to ignore it, then what help am I to you? So it's not that I'm a hypocrite, I just don't have a fucking choice. I have to go along with the lies. And so, right, when I do Vanavlogs and I say things, and it seems that I seem to be contradicting myself, I am not. You know, I recognise what you perceive, because I'm in the same fucking shit that you're in, but at the same time I'm not. And so, you know, I need a balance between the two to help. And it's not just time, it's other things as well. So if you think like I'm fucking mad because I talk about other dimensions, and it's all the fucking same thing, you know, it's just the same. As I said, since October, my life's turned to shit. Last week, and that was, what, second week in January? First week in January? It's the worst fucking week ever. Since October. All the shit, all the weeks, from the end of October till the second week in January. I don't know how many weeks that is. Like 6, 7. Last week was the fucking worst. And this one it's just going to be as bad. Unless things go wrong for other people. Because I'm so attached to other people at the moment. I'm stuck to other people. Their whims, their preferences, everything. I have to do what anybody wants, what everybody wants. And all of these people are glued to the system. They're like NPCs, you know. Fake humans. You know, like you get these people that are vampires. You know, they just, you meet up, you know, you see them walking down the fucking street. You're walking down the street, they're walking, and you're like, oh no, oh no, oh no. Can I turn left? No, there's no fucking turnings. It's a straight road. There's nowhere to go. You know, if I cross over, they'll see me crossing. They'll know I'm fucking avoiding them. You know, as soon as they meet them, all they're going to do is talk about themselves. Talk about their fucking problems. I'm a bit like me at the moment. I don't want to talk about my problems, but I have to. But they, you know, those kind of people, and they'll keep you there for at least 40 minutes talking about themselves, talking about people around them, just sucking your fucking soul dry. And if you're, I think the word's empath, if you're empathic, if you're somebody that cares about other people, you know, these fucking vampires, they love you. Because they'll fucking suck you dry, you know? Everybody that I am enslaved to at the moment, they're not intentionally vampires. They just want validation that everything that they are doing is right. And they want you to agree with everything that they say and everything that they do. They want you to participate in everything that they do. Yeah. And that's kind of like the situation I'm in. Whereas like when I do a Vanavlog, although it's very difficult, I'm doing it of my own free will. You know, I realise like to some people I might seem like a bit of a prat, I just might seem a bit mental or something like that, but I'm giving, I'm doing the best that I can. I have to put up with that. I'm thinking, you know, as I speak and I say things, I think people are thinking, oh my gosh, this guy's a complete fucking psychopath. You know, I'm aware of that, but I carry on anyway. But I get something out of it, I get something back. You know, maybe I'll get some comments once I've uploaded the vlog. People might say, oh, thank you, yeah, now that makes sense in my life. And, oh, I wondered why, or, oh, that was brilliant, or blah, 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 blah. You know, I get something back. The situation I'm in now, however, it's completely different. Because, first of all, I'm not contributing anything. I'm just being sucked dry. By people who just want to basically want me to fucking euthanize them, you know? That's what they want. You know, people want me to tell them that we live on a globe spinning in space, going precisely who the fuck knows where. People want me to say that to them. know, it doesn't help them to believe such fucking nonsense. It doesn't help them. But you know, that's just an example. People are asking me that. But that's just the kind of, just anything. It doesn't matter, you know. Anything to reinforce the false reality that everybody lives in. And I've just been put in this position where I can't fucking avoid it. And it's just fucking sucking my soul dry. Not of anything good. It's just making me falsify truth and reality. When I get come back from the Vanavlogs, I wouldn't say it gives me hope, but it gives me validation that what I intended to do, which was good, had worked, you know. And I'm like, oh great. The situation I'm in now is, if they say, oh well done and thank you and blah 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 blah, it was never in my intent to do so. And in doing so, it just makes me feel worse for having to do and be what I am in this stupid world. And it's just draining. There are worse fates than death. What was it, 2 weeks ago? In England, they made it legal to be euthanised. So I could just, if I wanted, right now, I could drive back home to my local hospital. Not the local hospital is my home. If I drive towards home and stop at the hospital local to my home and say I want to be euthanised, it wouldn't be against the law and I could be euthanised. I'm just trying to think of a few things. That might help you. try with time, shall we? Let's try with time. What have I got? I've got about half an hour. My servitude begins in half an hour. For the next, and then, you know, for the next 2 days, I'm just gonna be a slave all day for about 10 hours. No, 7 hours every day for the next 2 days. I've just got nothing left to fucking give. And I've got 2 days of this shit. And then I've got another 2 days of incarceration, like being locked up in a cell. It's going to be after these 2 days, the next 2 days, I've got to go on a course for 2 days with an exam at the end. Then I'll have if I pass, I'll have sitting guilds qualification. And then once I've got that, I might be able to get incrementally over a period of 3 to 4 weeks some freedom. This is all I've got left, guys, at the moment to give you. What I'm going to say now, it's all I can give you. So, time does exist. It's playing with time. Here are the answers to questions where there are no answers. In a place where you look for answers, which is a place where there are no answers. And that's where you all are. You're in a place that needs answers, but has no answers. And because I'm not here entirely, I have answers. And so, here we go. You may ask yourself, how is it that for millions, trillions, billions, or thousands, or hundreds, or whatever of years in the past, where everybody was so clever constructing mind-boggling feats of engineering on scales impossible to replicate today, how is it that today we can't do it? How is it that all of the knowledge that the whole world had at that time is not with us now? Why don't we have that? So that's the question. hold that question. Just hold that question. I'm going to say something else, but just remember that question. I'm 54. I'm 54. And I remember when I was 7 years old. I remember the world I lived in when I was 7 years old. And in my 54th year, I know people that are 7 years old. When I was 7 years old, I knew people that were around the age of 54. When I was 7, my perception of people, so I guess I would have been thinking about like my grandparents, who were maybe around 54 or something like that. I considered them to be old and wise and knowing. Those people seem to be ancient to me, and I thought if I really wanted to know anything about life, you need to ask people that were old. Oh look, here's the distractions. There we go. I'm running out of time, I can feel it. I can feel everything encroaching in on me right now. I can feel it. I can feel it. What I didn't know back then, when I was 7, it's those people that are around the age of 54 that I thought were old, were not old. They were only 54. My parents were in their 20s. I considered them to be adults, to be all-knowing, to know everything that there was about life. Being 54, that would be like somebody in their 20s today. If I look at somebody in their 20s today, do I really consider them to be an adult? All-knowing, have they got experience of life? or anything like that, a 20-year-old today, would you consider anybody in their mid-20s to be worldly wise? Would you? No, you wouldn't. You'd say they're still young. They've got another 30 years till they're in their 50s. What do they know? All manner of things can happen after you from your mid-20s onwards. In fact, you know fuck all really in your mid-20s. You might strut around, you might get a boob job, you might have a job, but you pretty much know fuck all really. And so it was for my parents when they were 7 years old, and their parents were in their 20s. Now when you think about the ancients, so we're told in books, Plato, I don't know. How old were these people when they wrote their books? How old were these people when they were in their places of power and persuasion, when they had their platform? How old were they? 30s? 40s? 50s? And so you see, nobody lives long enough to retain knowledge, to then build upon that knowledge. And even to begin with, that knowledge is not their own. It's learned. It's not attained. It's not experienced. And by the time they get to the age that they can think for themselves or build upon their own experiences outside of education, they're dead. And that's why we don't have knowledge is stagnated throughout the times. Throughout time, knowledge is stagnated because there isn't enough time. When you grow up, as a child, until you become what's said to be an adult. By the time you get to be an adult, 16, 18, 21, maybe you've even got kids at that point. In what sense of the word are you an adult? Physically, that's about it. You don't know anything. There's a country currently where you can't pass your driving test for 7 years. You have to pay to learn to drive for 7 years. Then you can take your test. Who that was? And as you all know, if you drive legally, that yes, the basic principles of driving a car you are taught before you take your test. And once you passed your test, it's at that point that you begin to learn to drive. And it's the same as a child to when you're deemed to be an adult. You learn to be an adult. And at the point that you become an adult, then you learn to be an adult. But of course, no one's taught to be an adult in this time, in this reality. We're all taught to be something else. And then, as a physical adult, you then try to be the thing that you was taught to be. But people like us would be similar to people who wouldn't want to drive. So I mean, you know, if you go on the internet and do a search of all the famous theologians, you know, various different famous people of varying professions, and their greatest works, and then alongside that do another search and ask at what age were they when they did that particular work. So now you should see the problem. When I look at 7-year-olds today and the world that they live in, and I compare it to when I was 7 years old, the world that I lived in, and I think, how do they perceive their world? Do they perceive their world the same as I did when I was 7 years old? Because when I was 7 years old, the world as it was then seemed to be very real. The music seemed to be very good. Everything seemed to be much better than it is now. From the perspective of a 54-year-old. But in this time, as a 54-year-old looking at those 7-year-olds who think that this time is the most genuine and important and real, and the music is really real music and everything else, as I did when I was 7, and I'm looking at them now as a 54-year-old thinking, your world is shit. Truth be told, the world that I lived in when I was 7 years old, that I thought was far better and superior than the world that I live in now as a 54-year-old, was bollocks. It was just as shit as it is now. It's just as shit. I didn't know. And the 7-year-olds today don't know either. And so I suppose, every 7 years, the world degrades. And every generation of 7-year-olds in that successive 7 years appreciates and values the whatever that word is, of life. Nothing can get better, nothing can improve, so long as every generation of 7-year-olds value and appreciate the world that they live in as being something new and fantastic. And so, if you start from the point of the ancients till the year 2025, here we are. Look at the world around you, compare it with the world that, the residue of the world that still exists. So yeah, that's just the thing about, you know, where's all the knowledge gone from the ancients? Why have we lost all that technology and everything? I've got about 15 minutes left. My impending doom is going to be turning up soon. It's, you know, it's like, okay, right, full stop. I'm not talking about that anymore. It's like since October last year, something is able to tweak my physical reality in this place. Picture language of what I'm saying is like, if you remember 1800s when you have deep sea divers, and they have those big round metal helmets, and then they have like oxygen pipes going from the ship. Like you're walking on the bottom of the sea, and then you've got like an oxygen pipe connected to your helmet and another pipe to take out the air, the carbon monoxide, dioxide, whatever it is when you breathe out. You're at the bottom of the sea, but your existence at the bottom of the sea depends upon those lines going back up to the boat that is on the surface of the sea that you are beneath. I'm like that. I'm at the bottom of the sea in this world. It's like being at the bottom of the sea. And my vitality, if that's the right word, in this world is controlled by the boat on the top of the sea, floating on a surface tension. Depending on the amount of oxygen that I'm given, it will either deplete or enhance my performance at the bottom of the ocean as I'm walking. It will enable me to walk faster or slower. In a similar way, since October, someone has been tweaking my existence in this place to my detriment. I don't know if you've noticed, over the last 6 months, I've aged. Beyond the normal confines of time. I make it a personal point of not looking in the mirror very often. Say over the last 6 months, on the occasion where I haven't really had a choice, I've just kind of been bemused. You know, at the change. I'm kind of like, what? And all I've kind of concluded about that is it's just all part of this trick to make you believe in time, to make you believe in getting old, to make you believe in giving up the ghost, as they say. Giving up, believing, I'm getting old, I'm gonna die. Look at me, look. Oh, I've got grandchildren. They treat me as old, so I must be old. And then you think about your grandparents, and they're probably dead, or nearly dead. And so you believe that of yourself. Oh, I'm getting old. I'm going to die soon. But I'm not buying it. You know, I can keep looking in mirrors for the next 20 years. You know, I'm still just not gonna fucking be a sucker for it. Keep doing what it's doing. I'm just like, it's not me anyway. I didn't design my face or my body. I mean, I feel the pain and the experience of it and everything else. I don't consider it to be mine. I just consider it to be a diving sea. I mean, some of the changes that's caused in me is I don't really care what I look like anymore, like presentation of clothes and all that kind of thing. I'm not really bothered about it anymore. I don't give a fuck, really. Consequently, when I look at other people, I don't really care what they look like anymore, as I used to. I always used to care about my appearance, and I would judge everybody on their appearance. They might be a great musician, a great mathematician, a great empath, a great whatever. But if they dress shit, if they look shit, it doesn't really it didn't matter to me because of the way they looked. You know? Because I used to be racist as well. So like, if they're fucking Chinese, or Indian, or I don't know, whatever, I'll be like, I don't care what you say, you know? You don't look right. Now I couldn't give a flying fuck. I know what I'm looking at. that these people didn't have a choice. The way they look, if they're missing a limb, or short or tall or obese or anorexia. Same with children and adults. It's what's inside. They're all the same, really. Adults are just children. When I look at them, they're just children. Big children. That have been taught to behave in the same way. But fundamentally, inside, they're all the same. I think it was last week. Surprising. It's in North London. To go into a flat. Some young Turkish guy, probably late 20s. First impression, you know, a foreigner in the country, Muslim, looking at things on the wall in the flat. Oh, it was a house actually, small house. Effigies of some prophet or whatever. And then he started talking. Not to me, to my colleague. I had a colleague with me, and he was just talking about what it's like, the state of Britain today, what's going wrong with the country, all the concerns. And I was like, this is like an English person speaking. It sounds exactly like an English person. All the shit that I put up with every day, he's putting up with the same shit. And he sees it exactly as I do. And whereas I've always considered people's religious cultures to be the predominant thing in their lives, he was a clear example where that is absolutely not true. It isn't. And if I think about it, practically, I'm thinking, well, it couldn't be, could it? It couldn't be, because the demands of living in England is so overwhelming that you can't concentrate on anything else. It's a bit of a culture shock that was to me actually last week. I was like, well, bloody hell, you know, I've always sort of taken a stance to not be racist and, you know, just accept other people's ethical, historic, cultural remembrance via traditions. You know, I just thought that was more important. They were just those kind of people. They didn't really give a shit about England. But clearly they do, even more so than I do. And he was born here. It's not even foreign. The culture that he lives in is foreign, but it's not foreign. But then, you know, his culture is just kind of like as important to him as fucking Christmas is to us, you know? It's just something that, in a little snippet of time during your life, you might get to fucking, you know, appreciate. Now, I go so far as to say anybody that's religious in some way in England only get to be religious or traditional, culturally, whatever, one day a week. But all of these things just pale into insignificance when I realised what's actually going on. Nobody's got a chance, none whatsoever. If they really did seek to change, then they'll get tweaked. Like I am now. Okay? I'm now at the point where I'm going to be enslaved. It's that time. It's time. Diminishing, that's the word I wanted earlier. Diminishing. Everything we learned and tried to build upon, which is not experience. The next generation affirms and reaffirms the new diminishment. That's why we'll never go back to the world that this once was. It's impossible. But that's just this reality, this current reality that I find myself in at the moment. That's that, full stop. Now, I'm only aware of this. I don't have anything tangible to point at. But if you forget everything that I've just said, and I forget everything that I've just said, and I look at the world that we live in, it's become very, very clear to me that the ruling class are doing a far lot more to destroy us all than I could ever possibly imagine. And I've been pondering whether to investigate it further. But I don't think, outside of them, that humanity, even in their vast numbers, are able to release themselves from their grip. Everywhere you turn, there is a gate with a lock. Could be a combination lock, numerical combination lock. Without the right combination, you can't get through any gates. The only way you can get the combination is if they give it to you. That's the confines of this place. And by the rules of this place, they rule. And there is no way out. There is no way out. By the construct of this place, and the construct of the gates, and the world that they have manipulated, there is absolutely no exit, available exit. Every exit is gated. There is no way. There is absolutely no way out. So I suppose part of my purpose is to take you out of the confines of this particular reality in the multitude of realities that exist in this reality. Yeah, so just apologies again. I just can't. It just takes everything I've got to persist. Just one more month. Mind, body, soul, spirit, intellect, insight. All of the things, just total demand on everything that I am, to conform and to perform. quite incredible, the things that are happening to me. You know, there's if someone's like a liar, the best way to spot a liar is everything that comes out of their mouth is fantastical. Like you can't just. I mean, they just can't fucking help themselves, you know? I don't know if it's like the desire to impress everyone or something. And so, if you say something, they'll say something better. Whatever you say, they've got a better version that they've done, you know? It's always like that. Liars are like that. And you only need a minimum a day with a liar. And by the end of one day, and you get home and you're laying in bed at night and you're thinking about all of the things that they've said, and you're like, oh my gosh, you know, wow, that is amazing. That really happened, and then that really happened, and that really happened. That is absolutely amazing. Wow, I can't believe it. But I tell you, mate, the fucking shit that I am fucking going through. It's not just like one pile of shit, it's like a multitude of fucking little pebble fucking shits. It's not like one fucking solid shit, it's like a fucking bunch of fucking grapes. Many. It's just too fantastically fucking ridiculously bad. Too many bad events happening within such a short period of time on a continuous basis. To be fucking normal, you know? I'm definitely being fucking tweaked. I'm just a bit overwhelmed about it all at the moment. It's difficult for me to carry on talking. I still have my impending doom on the way. I should have been here by now. And telling you the things that I'm telling you, just them in themselves are overwhelming and life-changing. Fucking depressing. And at the same time completely irrelevant, because I know what I know. I don't know if there's any, is it a balance? I need to become re-ingrained in this reality, because if I'm not completely ingrained in reality like everybody else, then I'm not going to be able to be more compassionate or something with the people of the world. I mean, I've become more re-aware of the kind of total the totality of existence as being the totality of all things. This reality is the complete totality of all things. That's it. There is nothing else. The whole thing of everything and in anything and because of everything and to do with anything. There is nothing other than the complete totality of reality. There's not even a concept of anything other. That's how people think. And it's like it's trying to fucking reinsert me into the fucking matrix or something, you know, just trying to fucking make me think that this is all there is, as I did before, like when I was 7. There seems to be a byproduct of what's going on at the moment with me, but it doesn't change the fucking facts of what I've been talking about. It doesn't change the fucking facts of it. Totalitarian. Totalitarian. Yeah. Yeah. People are reality totalitarians. Yeah. That's it. I can feel it in my fingers. I can feel it in my toes. Reality. I can feel it, I can breathe it, I can smell it. I get hot, I get cold, I get hot, I get pleasure, blah, 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 blah. And that is the total or utter reality, that's it, you know? Yet from my perspective, my summary of reality is just completely ridiculous. Oh fuck, that's it, it's game over. Yeah, so now it's another day. Still can't do anything online or anything. Can't even like watch stuff. It's just constantly just trying to fucking stop me from doing anything. It's so ridiculous. Talk about battening down the hatches. It's just fucking ridiculous. I'm just kind of wondering why. You know, is it because of you guys? Things that I say, something, someone just doesn't want you to know. And that's why they got the brakes on me. I don't know. Or is it just fucking personal vindictiveness against me per se? I don't know. But a couple of things I wanted to just mention. Finding it hard to think what I've been talking about in this Vanavlog because it's kind of like stretched over days and weeks. Two things anyway, along the lines of what I've been talking about. Time and environment. So I've been thinking about the way that you live. I say you, I'm obviously included in it as well. The way that you live, you know, living in houses, and one way or another having to earn your life. You have to pay to live, and everything's set up. So there's no other way for you to live. And you know, there's a lot of things about life, and you think, well, it's always been this way, and it's completely normal. And to some extent, you'd be right. Because nobody really questions anything about their existence, their reality, the way that they live. Everybody's kind of like, oh, everything's completely normal, you know? I've got a brick building, I live in a brick building, I go to work in a brick building, etc, etc. So, environment. Why do we live in buildings? Exactly. Well, it's because of the environment. Either it's too bloody hot or it's too damn cold. Wherever you are, there's no fucking happy place on earth where you're not affected by weather. And it's so set up that it's just impossible for you to live comfortably. Without some kind of a building structure to live in. Now, I asked a question. Is it weather modification? And if there wasn't this weather modification, would we live in buildings? And if we didn't live in buildings, would you have to pay rent? Would you have to pay taxes? Would you have to work to maintain the building? And on it goes. In fact, I'd say the very foundation of modern slavery is living in a brick building, one way or another. Or any other building not made of brick. I'm sure a lot of you have wondered what it might be like to yeah, so I'm just saying, I think the weather is like a main contributor to our slavery, the system. Of the entire world. The entire world. Even in hot countries, it's so fucking hot. They need shelters. There's just no way around it. If you really want to control all of humanity, you need to be able to control the weather. And that's exactly what's going on. What puzzles me is the duration of a life for human. 80 odd years. It's just not very long. And yeah, just speaking of those that are in power and have been for generations. So like, you know, the rich and powerful, they don't live very long. And they spend their entire life, which isn't very long, gaining as much wealth and power as they can for their kids. Now, I'm probably missing something because I deliberately decided that I would never have children, and I haven't, at least not to my knowledge. And so I don't get the whole parental thing at all. I don't know if it's that. It seems to be that if I had a kid, then from that moment onwards, it's like I've just given up on myself, on my life, on anything, and everything becomes focused around and because of that kid or kids. That's how it seems to be. Not sure why. So the rich and the powerful, the macabre, you know, are they just kind of like enslaved to the same ideal? I mean, what is it? I just don't get it. I don't actually understand it at all. I mean, if you get involved in the whole creation of a new being, creation, whatever you call it, do you diminish in some part? Do you become divided against yourself? I don't know. But nevertheless, you know, when I kind of like think about the macabre, the rich, the powerful, and why they follow suit, I mean, you know, where's it going? Where's it going? If I had a child and then I was just all in, so that that child could have the best life that it's going to have, and then that child does the same, what's the point? What is the point? As time goes on, things just become more and more ridiculous and pointless. Absolutely pointless. What do you gain by having children? What do you gain? But anyway, certainly in this reality, and it's ghastly, it's horrible, it's ugly, it's horrendous. I mean, what do they really get out? I mean, sorry, but it's all controlled. It's controlled by people. They've got the technology. They control the weather, without a doubt. When you go back into what we call ancient history, and you see the kind of technology that they had, which can't be matched today. You know, just because all of that technology is hidden from everyone else doesn't mean that it never existed, or that it still doesn't exist now. You probably notice in life that everything has an equilibrium. Everything has an equilibrium. Everything wants to settle and flow. But the constant cycles of weather, there's no plateau, there's no equilibrium. It's a constant system of cogs winding, churning, never being able to settle, never having any peace. There's no equilibrium. To me, that just says control, manipulation. So yeah, that's just kind of like a little mystery to me about looking at things that wouldn't really spark your interest, because it's just a normal part of life. But it doesn't seem normal to me at all. I mean, like the other day I was in the shower. I tend to have a shower in the morning, and I have a shower when I get home. I got all the soap and everything. Cleaning off the dirt and stuff like that, grease, oils from my skin. And I do that because, I mean, when I get home from work, I do that because of my bed. I don't want it to be greasy, oily, dirty. And the same with the inside of the property that I live in. As best as I can, I try to keep it clean. I try to keep everything sterile from the outside world. And for the reason being that 90% of my life I spend in buildings one way or another. If I go shopping, I go to the dentist, my haircut, or to eat, it's always a building. But I just don't get the mentality of the controllers of this place, they don't live very long. I mean, why can they even be bothered to be so evil, to create such misery, to enslave mankind? I mean, if you was born into great power and wealth, surely you just want to go and just do nothing most of the time. Just go and walk the earth. You know? Yeah, right now, I mean, there's like lots of people walking to and fro right now, that I can see. And of what consequence are any one of these people that I can see? What is the consequence of their existence to anything? You know? I mean, nature doesn't remember the dead. And if you just leave nature alone, there's no lasting effect on nature as a consequence of any one human being on earth. None. And the so-called ancients, they lived in a world that isn't like the world it is now, and nature was pretty much at an equilibrium, and the laws of nature were harmonious. And the knowledge of that time and the knowledge of how things worked at that time has been kept and hidden by a few who keep those laws a secret. And based on the knowledge of the laws of nature, they undid, created a disequilibrium, and then from that point onwards, mankind in the environment, in a changing, disequilibrialized environment, had very little choice but to make buildings to shelter themselves from the hostile environment, whether it be extreme heat or extreme cold. And then the rest is kind of like history, really. Build towns and communities. Humanity willingly to get out from the environment, build themselves cells. Now, until that equilibrium is allowed to follow its process, there is just no possible way for mankind to get out of slavery. Just systematic control by a few people. I think it's disgusting. I think it's humiliating as well. Oh, for fuck's sake, already?